When does a show stick with you? When do you have the feeling that what is happening on screen is touching your soul, making you think or breaking your heart? In our current day and age, we watch so many shows, immerse ourselves in endless stories so that although the chances of having these magical moments increase, they become less and less. We watch shows, but we don't see them. We see the characters change on screen, but we ourselves don't. But every once in a while there are these shows that not only stick with us, but that create an impulse that makes us question things, that separate themselves from the others. Shows that are there for us when we need them. Shows that we can learn from. Mob Psycho 100, especially Season 2, was such a show. One that I will not forget, no matter how many shows I will watch afterward. It touched me, made me think, made me cry, and made me appreciate this wonderful and weird medium a little bit more. And most importantly, it taught me things. How, you may be asking? Well, let me explain it to you. I graduated high school when Season 1 came out in 2016. I remember not watching it until around 2018. 3 years after the more popular show of Mangaka 1 was released. I remember the immense hype One Punch Man generated, but I found myself not being overly interested in the concept of the show. So, watching Mob Psycho for the first time, I was scared that this would be a show like One Punch Man. Slapstick humor, a lot of well-animated action, a fun ride for sure, but not something substantial. But after watching the first few episodes, I quickly realized that I was wrong. P.S. Until this day, I have never watched One Punch Man, so please do tell me if I'm missing out on something. Looking back at it, I had a great time. Yes, I was surprised by the show's absurd humor, the meticulously well-crafted fights, and the quirky characters. But I realized early on that the show revealed tendencies untypical for a simple shonen comedy. The animation was expressionistic and bold, the structure untypical for this genre, and the vibe a different one. I was impressed that Mob Psycho 100 didn't just copy the success of One Punch Man, but instead created its own formula. Comedy? Yes, but a raw one. A show with edges and characters with flaws. However, after the first season, I somehow stopped. In retrospect, I can't exactly pinpoint why I didn't continue watching the second season when it came out in 2019, but I'm glad that in order to prepare for Season 3, I did. Because otherwise, I would have missed one of the most amazing anime in decades. So why did Season 2 blow me away so much? Beginning with the extraordinary opening by the mob choir that sprouts creativity in every pore towards the melancholic yet heartfelt ending, I went from amazement to disbelief. About the animation style, the creativity, the references, the bravery to not only make jokes about the shonen genre but underlining it with animation that probably looked bizarre to some, however, can be interpreted as an artistic statement rarely seen in this medium. The humor continues to be outlandish and peculiar, and the animation department seemed to have surpassed themselves again, which was already a challenge given the amazing animation of the prior season. The fighting scenes are outstanding, with a camera that moves seamlessly between frames. Also, the show always knows how to accentuate specific moments, constantly switching between cinematic formats to emphasize the importance of a peculiar scene. To say that Season 2 is just better than Season 1 would be a clear understatement, and I could pinpoint at least 100 new cool ideas. Charming side plots, beautiful transitions, the amazing music, or the creative ways of subverting the superhero genre. Mob Psycho Season 2 feels bigger, but not overblown. More humorous, but not over the top. Heartfelt, but never cheesy. It seems like everyone working on Season 2 has been pushing themselves to the limit to excel their previous work, and they have done so phenomenally. But as true as all of this is, this was not the reason why this season resonated with me so much. Because the heart of this show lies somewhere different. The beauty of Mob Psycho are the human characters that bewilder the strange and supernatural world. The show has never been about psychics, about saving the world or being the strongest. At the heart of this show, you have two individuals that are simply trying to deal with their inner problems. One needs to learn how to treat the people in his surrounding better, to accept what he has already achieved and not to believe that everything is based on luck and happy incidents. And the other needs to learn how to stand up for himself, accepting his powers, his otherness, but also express empathy for others. In Season 2, both Reigen and Kageyama are facing their own issues, and seeing them overcome their inner struggles was immensely fascinating to see. In Episode 1, Mob, after being made fun of, expresses his empathy for Amy and stands up for her. This results in one of the most magical moments of this whole show, one that I will not forget easily. Maybe this touched me because I like to write myself, but it was an amazing moment in which all of the show's strengths were coming together. The animation, the themes, Mob's powers, and the visual storytelling. It left me speechless and in tears. More importantly, however, it taught me something about empathy. You will cross people in your life that may have empathy for others, but not for themselves. And Mob taught me that if you want to express empathy for the other, then don't hold yourself back. You may never know what positive impact it can have on the other person. Likewise, the show also raises the question of who deserves Mob's empathy. Realizing that it also has to come from the person you want to give it to, he decides to separate himself from Reigen, who selfishly uses him for his business. This brings me to episode 7. For many to be considered the best of the show, in which Reigen finally learns two things. First, that he has to acknowledge that Mob is the most important person in his life. That without him, he would not be where he is right now. Reigen is charming, good-hearted, and despite being a con man, a good soul. But he also has a narcissistic side to him that makes him believe that in order to be someone in life, you have to be special. From the moment on where his mom sends him this mail, only wanting the best for him, I could see myself in it. And yes, sometimes you forget about the people around you that just want to see you happy. That is the second lesson that Reigen learns, that he is someone special. That trying to escape his former life, which consisted of senseless work towards establishing a business that wants to help others, was a brave step into the right direction. Although meeting Mob at the right time, that doesn't mean that he has not achieved what he has achieved. He can be proud of himself, which sometimes can be harder to accept than one might think. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. I believe that both Reigen's and Mob's lessons about empathy, about acknowledging the people in your surrounding that matter the most, about accepting what you have achieved so far, about expressing empathy for others, even if they are not inclined to receive it from you, are all lessons that I learned alongside with them. That is the beauty of Mob Psycho, that the lessons these characters learn are not theirs alone. They are yours as well. There's so many other things that I could mention right now. The Body Improvement Club that completely spins the toxic masculinity trait of bodybuilders around, portraying them as compassionate and wholesome individuals. Mob's and Ritsu's relationship that went from jealousy and envy towards love and compassion. Reigen's inimitable charm. The soundtrack, there are too many things to list. I have not looked into season 3 and honestly, I don't know what will expect me. But I'm more than glad that I did not let season 2 slip through my fingers. And if season 3 will be able to capture the essence of what makes Mob Psycho great in the first place, I cannot wait for it to see. So if you, after watching this video, still haven't seen the second season or anything of Mob Psycho, now is your time. And always remember, your life is your own. See you in the next one.